7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You'll never have the sacred stone.
Welcome into the next edition of the Vegas Squares podcast. We're sitting here in studio with Token Tony and Tony Johnson, like we do every Wednesday, and we are excited. Why are we excited, Token?
Masters Part 3 contest right now.
There it is. Well, I guess that's why our current state of excitement, sure. But
yeah,
but it's Masters Week. Yes,
absolutely,
it is Masters Week. God, maybe I should just give him a script.
The only thing I like better than the Masters
is except the Masters. The only thing I like better than the Masters, except the Masters, is
it's the greatest quote that I have ever heard on this podcast.
Coming up next off the tee is Koepka, Johnson, and Mark O'Meara.
Wow.
You know this airs at like 8 o'clock at night, right? So they've already long come off the tee. Anyways, it is Masters Week. One of the best weeks in the PGA season, and we love to talk about betting Masters because it's a major championship, and if you're familiar with golf betting, the whole plethora of options opens up. Is that right, Tony Johnson?
It is indeed. The books are wide open here for majors and even some of the other large scale events that are not necessarily majors. We have tons of prop bets, tons of yes/no type of bets, and a lot more matchups than usual. So it's fun times for all the golf bettors out there.
So we're going to do things a little bit differently than we do in most golf podcasts. We're pretty much going to be going off of 2 or 3 basic books or lines. 12-Ounce Sports has entered into kind of a partnership with MyBookie.ag. So if you're listening to us not in Las Vegas or in a place that has legalized online betting where William Hill is available, we are also going to be using William Hill or the Westgate Superbook. So again, if you're not eligible to do that, you can also check out MyBookie for lines as well. Lines might be slightly different in each of the different places. However,
they normally are, yeah.
Yeah, of course, you have to shop around, but sometimes you don't have that luxury in different places. However, you definitely have a wide open variety of options to bet. The Westgate has put out their Masters Bible, as Tony Johnson so eloquently called it. We know we have the Super Bowl Prop Bet Bible that we've done 2 years of prop bets with so far. Whoa, that was a weird sound. So, anyways, with that being said, obviously it's one of the best weekends. We have our difference of opinions on the best, being one of the greater tournaments, but I like to basically sit back with a cocktail in my hand, watch the Masters, and enjoy it. I'll have a little bit more DGen this year than I did in my previous years, which is weird because I've had a lot of DGen in the last few years as well too.
Yeah,
so
especially with the Masters party.
Thinking of going hard in the paint this year on a little bit, but we're going to talk about that. So hopefully we're going to have some winners for you to be tailing. Hopefully not fading. If you're fading us, hopefully we do well and you lose. So, that being said, let's thank the sponsors. 12-Ounce Sports Radio, of course. We air every Monday and Wednesday evenings. And also, I want to thank Vegas Puckline Apparel. Also want to thank Eric on the Web Productions and ChaiPoker.com. All right, before we get into Augusta, let's recap the Texas Open. Gentlemen, how did it go for you?
Would have went better if Hoffman won, but I ended up doing all right still. With some matchups, but yeah.
Finally had a really nice matchup week over here. We've been sort of treading water over the last 2 or 3 weeks or so, and it was nice to get some wins, and weren't able to cash any of those really nice future tickets, but Lucas Glover came through very nicely. He was actually the majority of the matchup action, just based on how I felt he matched up against not only the 2 players that he faced, but also just on the golf course itself. So that worked out great. He had a really nice 3rd and 4th round and finished, I think, right near the top 10, if not in the top 15 or so, and he was able to beat both players. So worked out really well there. Unfortunately, nobody that I know of had Corey Connors at all winning this thing, a Monday qualifier, but certainly there were a lot of the bigger names in the field that were close, at least through the third round and into the fourth. But Corey was the one that was able to come through at the end.
Sneaks himself into the Masters where he
had that
opens
big
up
four-shot lead and then kind of filtered away and then got it back. So, very impressive golf by Corey Connors for sure.
Yep, and he opens up at 250-1 in the Masters.
Yep, not his first Masters either.
No, you like him at all?
I see some value. Since he's played the course once before, he had a nice second round the first time he played it. He shot 80 and then 69. So
I mean, we talk about the tune-up to Augusta. I mean,
Amateur?
Yeah.
Okay, I was confused. All right, I got it now. All right, we're good.
I mean, you're talking about a guy who, you talk about wanting to play as well as you can going into the Masters. Well, winning the Texas Open
is
about as well as you can do.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Another reason why I like Hoffman this week too, but we'll get into that.
Also played well as well. So, all right, well, let's dive in to Tony Johnson's favorite part, talking about the course, one of the most famous courses in golf. Yeah, I mean, it's
hole by hole. I mean, I don't think any course can beat it.
I think Tony might have a difference of opinion with you there, but nevertheless, talk about the course, likes, dislikes, favorites. Course parts that could be a detriment to golfers, and what kind of golfer does this course favor?
Sure. So many recognizable holes, I think, from all the times we've watched, especially even just the back nine, the back nine on Sunday.
The Amen corner and all that, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're just so used to seeing
dogwood.
So many of these just iconic shots and camera angles and things like that. And, the pin location they like to use on Sunday at 16 and seeing balls, roll down. The break of the green there, having a chance to go in, so many of them at least on Sunday. I think it's nice in that sense. So one of the great things about Augusta National is we get to see that repetitive, fun environment where it's a shot maker's course. The course was built to be able to basically hit shots, all the shots that you can in the bag, both moving the ball to the left, moving it to the right, in and around the green, hitting high shots in, low chips, things like that. So I think it's nice that we're going to be able to see pretty much a full bag from the winning golfer, or at least the players that play extremely well and finish in the top 10. You're going to see a variety of shots, and you're going to have to see pretty much the entire bag throughout the week. But some of the main points to take away here, and I think some of this is going to be a little bit repetitive in the sense that I think we know a lot going in, but it's good to have a refresher at least on players we can focus on. So one of the main things about that makes Augusta very different than many of the courses now that are played in the PGA Rota is the fairways are very, very wide out here. So they're about, at times, double the width of many of the fairways they're playing on a lot of these TPC courses. So that means that even some of the longer hitters that are not necessarily the most accurate, they are able to get away with hitting some wayward shots. And even if you do miss these extra wide fairways, the rough is only going to run you about 1.5 inches to 2 inches long in most places. So
shots gained off the tee kind of get skewed a little in this course.
It can be. Now, if you are extremely wayward and you end up in the pine straw or out of bounds, there's in-course out of bounds. As we saw Rory at one point many years ago fall into it. It can be very difficult in certain spots if you're extremely wayward. But as you said, Token, I mean, there's some of the traditional stats that we like to look at don't really matter all that much for this one, just because it's so easy to get the ball off the tee in many spots. So because of that, this becomes a second shot golf course where your shots into greens or setting yourself up on par fives, if you're not able to reach in two, are really where the tournament can be won or lost for most players. So,
or even making or missing a cut.
For sure, absolutely, yeah.
Even Sergio last year and all that.
Yeah, when he blew up on 13, exactly. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting shots that will come into play even on Friday, as you said, even on a cut situation. So, second shots are the big ones here. So not only do you have to focus on where to hit the ball in a certain part of the green or so, but where do you not want to miss? Because the problem with missing here, and this ends up being, I was looking at some of the numbers over the last few years, the fifth lowest greens in regulation percentage over the last 5 years. If you include all of the PGA Tour events along with the Masters here, the courses that they're playing on an every year basis, and also the 5th highest putts per green in regulation. So even if players are hitting a green in regulation, they're not actually getting the ball in the hole all that often.
A lot of slow pitch on this course.
It's just tough. Yeah, it's just absolutely tough in all aspects. So what we see here, we want to get a nice little mix of players that can hit the ball relatively. I think length does matter because, again, accuracy is not all that important off the tee. But we also are focused on scramblers, guys that can get it up and down, that are able to get in tricky, kind of intricate situations and can get the ball up and down on really, really fast greens. So that's the type of player we're looking for here. Changes to the course, we only really have one. The 5th hole, which was a 450-yard par 4, was lengthened about 40 yards from last year to this one. So it'll play about 495 with some elevation change as well on that one. So this the 5th hole is going to probably end up...
It was already challenging to start with. I mean, the average stroke for 2018 was 4.16, so
there you
that
go.
might bump it up another 0.15 or so. It might be closer to 4.3 or 4.4 with that.
I think it'll be probably one of the harder holes that we'll see out of the entire 18 this week. So yeah, it remains to be seen how much more difficult it will be. But yeah, certainly that'll be something. And then I think the last thing we want to get to is sometimes weather can have certainly an effect on this course, and we're going to see some wind throughout the week here. Not astronomical winds like we're experiencing here in Las Vegas currently, but definitely some moderate breezes throughout the 4 days, and Sunday will be the toughest day, with maybe some combined thunderstorms and winds maybe reaching up to 20 miles an hour. So
hopefully they are able to finish it on Sunday.
Yeah, let's hope. So that's kind of where I'm at right here. And as always, we've seen throughout the years that aggression, not only just taking, being aggressive in certain spots and understanding when to go after pins and things like that, but also I think around on the greens as well. Getting the ball to the hole, trying to make putts down the stretch, and just trying to take. You have to take this tournament. There is no handing it over.
Finding the spots where the ball funnels, kind of where the hole is and all that. Maybe not directly aiming at the pin, but where it will funnel and channel to the hole.
Absolutely, and give yourself a chance to make putts because it's not, 2 under is not going to win this tournament. It's not going to be a war of attrition. No. You need to go out there and make
Shoot
it happen.
Pretty well, yeah.
Yeah. So I think aggressive players that have no fear, are also players we definitely want to be on this week.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's a very long-winded definition of the course.
It was a lot.
But I know it was in-depth. I know you've been studying on it, and Token is coming close to me unnecessarily.
Just grabbing a pen. Writing some notes down and all that.
Cool. I'm loving this Bible. I've been looking at it a little bit as far as, tournament matchups. They've got, best amateur, best senior. What do we got here on this back page? Oh, shit, I shouldn't stick it in the light. Looks like it's just more matchups.
Got a few props on here and all that.
Oh, yeah, they're parlayable. Oh, they're parlayable tournament matchups. So they have parlayable and unparlayable.
I like it.
I love this winning margin here. I know we don't want to necessarily give that away, but you just talked about it. 2 under is not going to win. But what about having, a comfortable lead or something like having, a few shots to make up, looking at this playoff, winning in a playoff 3-1, winning by 1 shot, 2.5 to 1, 3.5 to 1, 2 shots, 5.5 to 1, 3 shots, 3.5 to 1, 4+. I mean, we haven't seen anybody run away with it since Tiger, really. I mean, there hasn't been a lot of guys to really run away with it, 4+ shots. You have a funny face.
Oh, there's been a few I think that have ended up winning by 3 or 4.
Sure,
yeah.
But yeah,
it's been a lot tighter races.
But it seems like in today's brand of golf, nobody really truly runs away. There might be a clump of people who run away. But, I don't want to, without giving away too much, this is kind of a prop that strikes my fancy. The winning margin. Where do you see value in something like this? I feel like playoff is such a hard, it's like an overtime bet. It's so hard to really gauge. But the value might be there if you feel it over somebody winning by 1 shot.
I see the value as winning by 1 shot. I think somebody sets themselves on 18 with either 1 shot lead to par for the win or have a chance at birdie for the solo win.
For a two-putt birdie.
No, just 1 shot. Par.
Well, if they're up by 1 and they have a birdie putt.
Yeah, but usually they set themselves about 30 feet and such very tricky putt on 18.
Right, so that would be a 2-putt win.
Yeah, 2-putt win, I said. 2-putt win, or they'll be on 18 tied and they'll have a birdie putt and try and sink it.
It's true. All right, Tony and I talked about this off the air, and I don't necessarily say I disagree with you, because as a casual golfer, I look at the field and I usually know that the majors are going to bring out every single player that I know, every single player that I'm familiar with, and probably almost every single player that I've at least even heard of. I think the field's great. I think the field looks strong. You have a dissenting opinion, sir.
Well, yeah, this is my least favorite major in the sense that because of the quality of the field. So the 3 other majors have a much higher quality of the field, especially the PGA Championship. That's the best major in the sense of field quality. But yeah, my only drawback here is not only just the type of players that are in this in the field, but it's actually the amount of players that play. So we only have 87 players this year, which is the lowest since I believe 1997.
Sounds about right, yeah.
Yeah, and it's just, to me, that's just not. I mean, there's no reason to not have more bodies here. More players to have a chance, to win such a prestigious event, and not only that, of the 87, there's, in my opinion, about probably 12 to 15 players that have absolutely zero chance of winning. And we can't really say that on any weekly basis on the PGA Tour because there's so many great players out there. But unfortunately, for this week, there are 6 outright amateurs that are from all over the world. Some U.S. amateur winner, U.S. amateur runner-up. We have the European amateur. We have, I think, an amateur out in Asia, places like that. And it's just, amateurs are not going to be able to beat the great professionals, in a large-scale field and win a tournament. It's just not going to happen. So they're barely able to make the cut. So we have 6 amateurs that have no chance, and then we have a lot of the older players that have won the Masters in previous years, but we're talking about decades before. Guys like Larry Mize, Sandy Lyle, Ian Woosnam, Jose Maria Olazabal. Players like that, even more recency to Mike Weir and Trevor Immelman. I think that many people would agree that all of those players, including some of the younger guys like Immelman, have just no chance to win. So we've all of a sudden just taken about 20% of the field now and thrown them away, essentially. And
Pretty much, yeah.
That, to me, that frustrates me because I just want to see a large handful of the best players playing for such a prestigious event, and the fact that we don't really get that with this one is a little bit unfortunate. So that's just my take on it.
All right, that's fair. Well, you talked about how there's only 87 people. Help me out here with the cut. Is it T70s?
No.
How does that work?
For the Masters, it is golfers within the top 50 scores plus ties, or within 10 shots of a lead will advance to play the final 2 rounds.
Whichever one's lower?
No. If all 87 are within 10 shots of the lead, all 87.
Right. Whichever's higher, I guess, is what I meant to say.
Yeah.
Because, theoretically, every
it could be as low as 50 golfers. It could be high as 87. Everybody can make the cut potentially.
Interesting. That's an interesting way to do it. I don't think I've ever thought about that.
Which, coming to bet people to make or miss the cut, it's very critical.
It is. I do think that it's important to note that I think the within 10 of the lead is unlikely to matter. And I think that's for 2 reasons. For the first reason that we've just sort of talked about is that there are a lot of players we can throw away here. So I think there's going to be a large handful of very poor scores. And also that the course and the way it's set up is so gettable in the sense that if you are on your game and hitting greens in regulation with total regularity, and even proximity is close, and you can make putts. If you're leaving the ball in certain spots, you can go really low. Yeah. And so I think that there's going to be likely 1 or 2 players that go relatively low in the first 2 rounds that they're going to be so far head and shoulders above the rest in the middle of the pack that I think they'll be clear of 10 shots. So I do think it's going to be just a top 50 and better situation here.
Mm-hmm. I could see that, yeah. I think cut or something will be right around the +4 mark or so.
So you're talking about something like that, and you're basically saying, you don't think the 10-stroke lead, because you're right. I believe you. Theoretically, they've got the cut line at 147, which is a par 72. So what is that? 3 over?
5 over. Or no, 3 over. Yeah.
3 over, yeah. Well, it's actually 147.5, so 3 over par would be their theoretical cut line here based on the books. I mean, guys aren't going to shoot. There's a few guys that aren't going to shoot just 3 over for 2 rounds.
Definitely, right.
I can name one that's on your mind. Norton.
Fuck that motherfucker.
There he is.
Fuck that
We
motherfucker.
knew he'd make it in.
By the way, I actually thought for about half a second when you were giving me that free bet, I thought about him at 200 to 1. But he's on my blacklist for a reason. So
That's
Yeah.
right. He is.
he's on my blacklist for a reason. Because
Well,
now
that
he's going to
one-
win the fucking match.
That one guy that played the tournament with us at on Sunday night, kind of like Norton. You mentioned
He
him.
did. He did mention that he liked Noran. It's true. Yes.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm looking at the Bible. A lot of top 5 bets. A lot of top 10s. Obviously, that's going to be around everywhere. It's usually on offshore sports books every week. But like you said, the handle goes up a little bit, give you a little bit more options, especially here in Vegas and probably some of the places around the U.S. Let's talk about Rory. Rory is now trying to complete a Grand Slam, which we know needs the Masters. This is his 5th attempt. He currently is 7 to 1, according to the Westgate. 8 to 1 on William Hill. And let's see what my bookie has. I should have probably had that up. I didn't do my research, or didn't do my due diligence. Let's see, what do we got here? 7 to 1 as well on my bookie. So that being said, let's talk about him. We know, you talked about it even with your kind of your opening monologue. I mean, we know his struggles on this course. He had a 4-stroke lead and can promptly just like shit his pants. Or it was like a 4 or 5-stroke lead. Correct me if I'm wrong. About a decade ago.
I think it was 4, and then he hit it out of bounds on 11. Yeah.
Yep.
And it just seems like he just can't get right on this course. But he's coming in playing hot golf this year. He's coming in, seems to be in competition every tournament he plays. So, your thoughts early. Do you like his chances? Or are you looking to maybe continue on a fade train here at Augusta?
I like the fade train. I would take him possibly for a top 10, but to win, I don't love it, especially at that value. Even though he is playing very hot golf right now, I just don't see him wearing the green jacket this year.
Yeah, it's interesting because he has not been able to really get himself in strong contention over the last recent years, I should say.
I could see him going low in the first round, though.
I mean, it's certainly possible, but when you actually look at his record the last 5 years, he's actually top 10 to all 5 of those years. So now there's a caveat there, and I think why you've maybe brought this up, Aaron, is because he's come from behind 3 out of those 5 years in the sense that he was in the middle-ish sort of range, and he had a big Sunday round. So it's a little bit of a misnomer that he has had 5 straight top 10s here, when really only one of those was in this second to last pairing. So I do understand that he hasn't really contended in a while, and obviously comes in on straight fire with 5 of his last 6 events in the top 5, including a win. To me, 6 to 1 or 7 to 1 or wherever that range that we're in now, even 8 to 1. In a field that's this top heavy, not strong overall in regards to depth, but this top heavy with essentially all of the top players in the world playing, I don't think that it's a great spot here. And I don't know, I'm not necessarily of the catch a falling knife type of spot, and where is he going to start to falter at some point, because Rory hasn't faltered in now many months. It just seems like a spot where you can just naturally sort of avoid here, and if you can maybe find a nice plus spot in a prop bet situation, not to foreshadow a little bit, but I think that might be a time to bet against the barrel. So that's where I'm at with Rory.
Fair enough. Well, let's look at some of these make the cuts. Just looking here on the Bible at Westgate, and you talk about how this cut line is a little more quirky than
normal
than others. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these make the cuts are so juiced. Is there any value in trying to find a player on this line, on this page, to miss the cut? Because, like you said, I mean, a lot of these guys have played Augusta enough or play good golf enough that they're probably going to stay within striking distance. However, the only way this would happen is if they completely blow up. Like Bubba Watson has been playing relatively poorly lately. But he's won 2 times here at Augusta.
Yeah, this course fits him extremely well. Exactly. So
Yeah, he has the length and all that to do very well.
You have
in this.
Rory at minus 1,600 to make the cut. There's just no value in that.
No.
But somebody who's also, on the Tony Johnson's fade train, Phil Mickelson, he's also won this, but he's not coming and playing good golf.
very true. That's very true. Phil would be an option, I totally think, because of especially his blow-up potential, and he can make some big numbers on holes that finding a spot with Phil, who's what the no is plus 275 here, I think certainly could be a viable wager. I've actually made 2 of them myself already. Not on guys we've mentioned yet, but it's going to be probably some surprising names. I don't know if we were going to go through the names now, or you just want to talk about...
Well, sure, we can talk about a few prop bets here.
Okay, so 2 of the names that I've actually already bet the no on are Ricky Fowler, who one of the reasons I made this bet was because it opened at plus 500 on the no for Ricky Fowler to make the cut, and when I was looking last night, it's actually jumped to 6.5 to 1 to plus 650.
Wow.
And I think there's enough here. So the reason I think this is obviously Ricky's record is unquestionably good, and he's playing extremely well right now. I understand that everything is going in that way, but Ricky has surprised at different times throughout his career, and he's thrown
Ricky
some.
to miss the cut?
Yes,
Yeah.
He's laid some eggs in certain spots, even having a good record at certain courses. So he's missed the cut at the British Open twice in the last 6 years when he's historically been a very good player there.
You caught him at what? Sorry.
6.5 to 1 plus 650 to miss the cut.
MyBookie.ag has as well.
Okay, so that's the number I think that's really good. I'm not saying that it's a strong likelihood that he misses the cut,
But it's very good value.
But that's good value.
I think the value is really good. I think 1 out of every 4 times he plays this thing, he would probably miss the cut. So that's why I think 6.5 to 1 is great.
See how good I can get my boy to miss the cut here. Let's see, where's that fucking fuck face at?
Probably have to lay 200.
Plus 137.
There you go. Nice.
Alex Norton's plus 137. That fuck face Magoo.
And I see some value in that still.
Maybe. And the second guy is Brooks Koepka. We'll get into more of the individual reason of why I'm not a fan of Koepka in this tournament, because that's kind of where this stems from. But he's at plus 425 to miss the cut right now, so I like that one.
What about a couple of guys here? They're minus money, but a couple of guys here. I mean, Freddie Couples strikes me as a guy who could make the cut. He always plays 2 good rounds and then fades off because he's old. Bernard Longer a couple of years ago was in the Sunday pairings. But Vijay Singh, I mean, nobody really expects him to compete anymore. Victor Hovland and Martin Keimer. Danny Willett's another guy. Danny Willett's actually plus 120 to miss the cut. Any guys in this back, section here, Satoshi Kodaira is minus 175. He's actually the favorite of the favorites to miss the cut. Is there any value in something like this for a guy who doesn't live in Vegas? Maybe can grab one of these spots online?
I think so. I've bet on couples specifically to make the cut 2 or 3 times over the last maybe 5 or 6 years or so.
This is to miss.
No, I understand. I was
Okay.
just talking about the flip side. You just brought up some names, so this is my only experience in doing so.
Gotcha.
Is I have found that Freddie, because he is so consistent in regards to making a cut, like you specifically said, I think if you can find a quality number, yes, I do think there's some value there. Some of these other ones to miss the cut.
And what has Danny Willett done since in the 2 or 3 years since he's won the
much.
Masters?
No, he's had a very rough run. He's found a little bit of form in Europe over the last 3 or 4 months, but nothing specific that you can really get excited about. So,
Your boy Billy Horschel, their token, is plus 137 to miss the cut.
I would bet the yes for him to make the cut.
All right, let's see what we got for making the cut here.
It's probably
go ahead.
Minus 160-ish.
yeah, I think that number probably just stems from his record being very weak in this event. Now, obviously, this is about the best form we've seen of Billy Horschel probably in coming into April, almost in his career. He's usually been a better finisher than start of the season, but my goodness, he's been playing well for a long time now. So, I mean, I get it. If you're ever going to hit Billy Horschel, now would be the time. But his record at Augusta is
Subpar.
It is subpar. So I think that's probably where that's coming from. So, yeah.
Subpar.
Why is that funny?
I don't know.
Felt fun.
Oh, you got it. Yeah, par. Okay. Wow.
Took a guess.
It's kind of like an Aaron joke right there. He likes the puns, but yeah.
Punny words are punny.
Yeah.
All right, so I got one for you here, Token,
Yeah.
courtesy of mybookie.ag.
Right.
I already think I already know who the name is.
What?
Schwartzel.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
It's not even a name, fucker.
Okay.
So it's calm down.
Oh, hole in one.
Also, no. Calm down.
I'm excited.
Yes, Token is ready. I
The
like it.
yes is plus 1,200.
Okay.
The no is minus 2,600.
Oh, okay.
Will there be an albatross registered during the Masters?
I would bet the yes, just because I like the big odds on that.
Well, the albatross is how Masters parties were born.
Exactly. Yep. 2012
The
Louis
Louis
Oosthuizen.
Oosthuizen.
Yep. On hole number 2. Runs it down the left side of the green, slopes down.
Yes,
about...
there is also a hole-in-one prop. Yes, minus 140, no plus 110.
Okay, yeah.
I will never bet that again in my life. Until
Ooh,
tomorrow.
careful. Yeah.
Until Sunday
I do
again.
not believe that statement. Yes.
Until probably later tonight. There's a couple of these on here. I mean, we'll get into some props later. I mean, obviously we have the props that we're going to bet. Let's talk about. I mean, we kind of straight off of Rory. I mean, you're on the fade train. You kind of talked about it on him. Is there anything of Rory that we're on a pro in this spot? Matchups, props. Obviously, you're not really crazy about him winning it, but anything to be positive about for Rory McIlroy?
I think he should
Make the cut.
I think he should definitely be the favorite. I totally understand why he's a relatively strong favorite. He's coming in on absolute complete fire. He's plucked the schedule perfectly to not play too much and to keep himself relatively well rested. I know he did that almost for one of the main reasons was to be able to be fresh for this tournament. I get it. To me, all of this is pushing one way, and the public is so big on Rory right now. He's just recently won a large tournament, and I think this is the exact time because the odds have skewed so much that we should be fading. Just because I think there's a lot of value on the other side. So to me, I'm on the fade side just because, on a pure valuation standpoint, I do like him in this tournament. It makes sense. But I think all the values on the other side.
All right, well, talk to me about this one. And I'm looking on a few props that we probably haven't looked at. You're probably not going to be betting, so I'll take a look at this. Just get your kind of, I know that you do more research than we do, but sometimes I like to look at these and just have an instant reaction. So I'll ask you guys both this one. This was an interesting one, too, with 87 players in the field. Minus 160 is over 15.5, plus 130 under 15.5. The total number of players finishing with an under par score. 15.5 is the number. 160 juiced for the over. 130 plus for the under.
15.5 minus 160 plus 130. I take the no.
So that's
You think the course is going to be that tough? You think?
I think Sunday will be the difference maker in that, and if they are projecting some winds coming through as well as some thunderstorms, I think that will drive some golfers from a subpar round to a plus round. So
you have less than 15.5 golfers.
Yeah.
You're basically taking the under.
yeah, I'm guessing right around the 12, 13 number will be under par.
So, I mean, the quick answer would be that obviously you'd have to look at past leaderboards to really get a decent idea here, and then match the weather a little bit and maybe some other circumstances. My quick answer, I know you want something off the cuff.
It's fun. We're not going to bet it, but
Yeah,
somebody might want to just throw something out there to watch the Masters with.
I'd be on the opposite side. I think there's a lot of players that are actually in really good form here, not just players that we necessarily know about. I think there's a lot of Europeans and a few Asian players that are on really good form right now. So because of that, I would take the over in the amount of players over.
My initial thought was the over too. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm thinking it as well. Is I think that you're talking about a course that contributes to scoring, and I can see what you're talking about. But Sunday the wind's coming in. I think a lot of players are going to know the course well enough at that point to be able to play against the wind. All right, let's move on. We were talking about this the other day, Tony Johnson and I don't know if maybe you talked about this because it was an easy thing to say, but when you talk about all these courses, you talk about what shots benefit a player, or what player is the strength on this course, but what are the keys, like you said, scramblers? What are the keys, other than maybe that necessarily, to winning this tournament? And how do you find a golfer profitable enough to tail?
So one of the things about this course is that the way it was set up, and it's kind of funny because the two people that ended up founding the golf course, so Clifford Roberts and Bobby Jones, were both right to left ball strikers for the most part. They both had a draw. So they had decided, and paired with Alistair McKenzie, who was the designer of the course, that they wanted to set up a lot of the holes that actually move from right to left for a righty. So that's actually why we see a lot of the holes, especially on the back nine, which I think is really key here, especially the back nine and both par fives, that the ideal ball flight is a right to left ball flight. So for a right-handed golfer, that would mean a drawer of the ball. And while most most quality professional golfers can hit both shots relatively consistently, they're usually going to favor one shot over the other. And there are a few players that essentially don't even attempt very often to hit the other type of shot, whether they fade, whether they hit more of a fade or hit more of a draw. So I think we really need to focus on for the majority of the players, which are right-handed, the players that draw the ball well, and then for the lefties, it would become a fade shot, a right-to-left shot for them as a fade, and that is entirely one of the main reasons why Bubba Watson and why Phil Mickelson have done so well in this tournament, I think, throughout the years, is because
they play that power fade.
Exactly. It both plays right into their hands, and they can really let it go on these par fives. Yeah, it's a lot easier to control a fade than it is to control a big draw. So to me, it's a huge bonus if you're a lefty, and for most players, they're probably more comfortable with a fade shot. So that's a huge thing here too. So that's
especially on hole 13, Azalea.
For sure.
That's a huge hole where
pretty much has to happen that way. Yeah,
that's the par 5, right?
Yeah, the par 5 with Race Creek running up the left side as well as between the green and fairway.
Yeah. So all right, well then, piggybacking off of that token, he's talking about the way that the guys hit the ball. What about guys? You look at the field, and what about guys who get under pressure? We all remember when Jordan Spieth, the Danny Willett year. We all know, was that hole 12 when he took a 9?
Yeah, the par 3 with Race Creek running through.
He kind of lost composure, lost focus, lost almost everything. I mean,
from the tee, that's like an easy tee shot, but a lot can go wrong in that shot.
Okay, but my point is that how do we look for guys? Because the back nine is obviously tough. The back nine also going into the in the fourth round, the back nine going down the home stretch, is a test of will and a test of strength mentally. Mm-hmm. How do we find those golfers who are mentally tough enough to not, because Jordan didn't actually fall too far out in that spot as well. I mean, he was still, let's not call it in contention, but he was within striking distance. But it just kind of all went to shit for him. Yeah. How can we find a guy or guys who are mentally capable of shaking off a triple bogey in the second round, or things along those lines?
You look for somebody that's very good at recovery, I think, at that point, and somebody that maybe instead of turning a triple bogey, you might get out with a double instead or something. Somebody like that will find like a positive and a negative hole or something. I mean, there'll be like should have been probably a triple realistically, but I snuck out with a double and I'm still in contention. So let's move forward, move on to the next hole, and get a shot back on the next one or something.
Yeah, and you talked about it. The back nine is where champions can be crowned at some points. Obviously, Danny Willett was one that comes to mind where he took advantage of a situation
and ran with it. Yeah.
How do we find value in that spot, Tony? Either Tony, in play or beforehand? A guy who within striking distance who has some plus value on him that's pretty good that you think may have a shot to capitalize on a Jordan Spieth blow up hole.
Yeah, one of the main things that I'm looking for in that exact aspect is the type of player I want. I want an aggressive player. I want a player that has no fear and is very willing to go really low. That some players, when they get to a certain point and they're leading a tournament, or they're 500 for the first 6 holes, they almost get to that sort of gulp limit, you will, that they're not used to being there, they're not used to being in this circumstance, and they may be playing as well as they ever have, but it's an uncomfortable feeling. And it's a natural reaction. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. It's a natural feeling that we as humans have. And there are certain players, I think, that we've seen throughout the years, and this is just comes from time and experience that when we watch as not only just sports bettors but as fans of the game. There are certain players that don't really seem to have that same sort of feel, that are always keeping their foot on the gas. And I think a very good example of this is guys like Dustin Johnson and Bubba Watson, who we never really seem, phased in the sense that they can be 14 under par, through a certain amount of holes, and they're just still trying to make that next birdie, still trying to hit the next, 400-yard drive. Kevin Kisner, even a non-bomber, for example, Kevin Kisner's a guy that is also the same way, always grinding out every shot, to his max ability. So that's the type of player I'm looking for, is guys that I know will keep their foot on the gas on a consistent basis, versus others that have been known to falter and have been known to take the sort of easier way out down the stretch in recent times. And I think there's good examples of both type of players.
Now, that's a good way to kind of put it, because there's a lot of guys who have accomplished a lot. I mean, just looking at this stretch right here, there's a lot of guys. Bubba's accomplished a lot. Rory, Dustin, Justin Rose. There's many others I'm looking at. I don't want to go down to every place. Sergio Garcia is one of them as well. You get into a spot where you're like, do I really make that contentious push, or can I settle for a nice paycheck here in 6th?
Yeah.
So that creates kind of an interesting
Each
conundrum, I guess.
Exactly.
Each personality will have different thoughts on that, especially if they've won a tournament before, too.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I was saying, like, guys like Sergio, Bubba, they're like, I got this one in the back already, I mean, Rory, you might see Rory in a spot where he wants to be too competitive, and shit happens as well.
Yeah.
Justin Rose seems like a cool, calm guy. But anyways, going forward, I mean, you talked about it a little bit in play, before the round. That's going to be an interesting spot where you have to find the value of a guy who still remains competitive. And actually, a funny thing is, you talked about, him potentially missing the cut. I think Ricky Fowler is a guy who tries to remain sharp and focused in that spot, because he's one of the ones on the list that doesn't have any hardware. Well, major hardware.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, all right, let's talk about, let's go back to the favorites. Some we like, some we dislike. I'm looking at the Bible here, and as soon as I can, God, there's so many pages.
That's what we love about it.
Peace be with you, and also with you. All right, so let's look at the favorites. I look specifically here. Now, obviously, current odds are all out of order. I'll try to do this. There's Rory, obviously 7-1, DJ 10-1. I've got Justin Rose 12-1, Tiger 14, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas at 16, Ricky Rahm also at 16. Again, they're all over a little bit. They're not necessarily in order at this point, because Westgate just does that to piss you off. No, I'm just kidding.
They have it based on the opening odds.
I know they have opening odds in order, but things get crazy. Anyways, so you can create your matrix here as far as what you consider favorites. I'd probably run it all the way down to about Jason Day and Bubba Watson, even though Fleetwood and Molinari are in there as well, and they're not in the necessarily sequential order. But create your own matrix here. Faves you like, faves you dislike. I'd say anything between 30-1 and lower.
I am personally anti-Molinari in this tournament. Although he's been here multiple times before. The first time he came to Augusta was for his brother, who qualified, and he was caddying him.
What's his brother's name? Ernesto,
yeah. Eduardo, yeah.
Eduardo, yeah.
Yeah. Some name like that.
My last name is like Spaghetti Molinari.
Yeah. I like Fleetwood in this tournament. He's got the length off the tee and all that.
Fleetwood foe.
Yep, fairway Jesus.
Fairway Jesus.
Yeah, that is confirmed, Dan Patrick. If you're listening to us,
yeah, I'm sure he's listening.
well, I was listening on the way in.
Does.
They were talking Masters and all that, and somebody said fairway Jesus, and he's like, "Oh, is that his real nickname?" Of course it is.
It is now.
Yeah. I do like Fowler though. I will have to admit, even though the value on him missing cut is
better than being
very
sand
good.
trap Jesus, I guess.
Ricky's been playing really well lately, as well as drawing the ball pretty well lately, and he might make a statement this year. So I am anti-Rory to win, but I like him to finish well in this. Possibly a top 10, maybe even a top 5, but not take home the green jacket.
A lot of great names here. Not a lot of names, I think, that have a ton of value in regards to betting wise. I think the value is quite immense in some of the middle tiers and certainly the lower end tier. But guys that make a lot of sense. There's a lot of them in this spot. This is one of those unfortunates. I know you want a real distinct answer here. I would certainly be fading McIlroy as we've discussed for the same exact reasons.
Where do you fade him at? I mean, obviously you don't bet him to win the whole thing, but he's going to be matched up against guys he could potentially be in better than.
Exactly. So the fade would be if you get a really high quality player, or you don't bet, or you get a really high quality player, somebody like Justin Thomas, somebody like Dustin Johnson or whatever, and you can get a plus 150, plus 160 in a matchup versus Rory McIlroy, where to me, when they're both really, really great players, I think that's really where you can get a spot where they should finish relatively close to each other, but if you're getting plus 160, you're just going to win the long run.
Yeah.
So that's about the only spot that I think you could find something. But yeah, just to avoid him, I think would be the best way to do it. Another strong fade for me here is Brooks Koepka, and the reason for this, I know this is
Seems to be common.
I thought it was going to be more controversial, to be honest with you, but I have heard of at least some of the research I've done that there are other people in this camp. Two main reasons for this. Number one, he's really altered his schedule this year, and I know we talked about that before, and I'm not trying to play a broken record here, but it is very, very important, I think, when you're not in a consistent fashion. He's played about the same schedule the last 2 or 3 straight years, and then you really differ and alter that. And after you've had so much success, with that schedule over the last few years, I think that is a very, very difficult thing to do. Now, the reason he did alter the schedule is because he had surgery on his wrist, so he had an injury, and that's fine.
He the Masters last year.
Yeah, I mean, and that made it more difficult, and he's been trying to kind of ease his way back in for the most part and really give himself the best chance in the summer during the big events to be as fresh as possible. But because he does that doesn't mean I think he's going to be at his utmost peak in April. We talk in a couple months in another major, and I might be his biggest fan. But right now, I think Brooks is an easy fade here. Also, I know we were on the subject of different diets. I know you're doing the whole keto thing now, but Brooks went on a very odd and strange diet for many months where he was eating about 1,200 to 1,800 calories a day, which is extremely low, obviously. And
low for a normal person.
It's like triple what I eat.
Yeah, so
maybe not triple. I use about 1,000.
Wow.
Wow, that's really low.
Yeah, so he struggled through that. I mean, he wanted to lose some weight. He was going to be doing a body issue of whatever the magazine is. And
I think I ate 1,000 just sitting here.
Nice. Okay.
Between those 2 Starbucks drinks I had.
So your Starbucks drinks might have had 1,000.
I think it was 580.
Okay,
Between
yes.
the 2 of them.
Lord, you fucking
I'm
munch.
I'm the skinniest, fattest person that you'll ever see.
If you say so.
There you go. So,
Poking through your shirts there, skinny.
So Brooks has struggled
You got a coach's gut.
because of this. Coach's gut? That's weird.
It's been going down a little, getting back into tennis. Not just betting it.
Brooks is a guy I'm definitely fading here. He has not had a top 10 in quite a while, and he just hasn't played in all that many events. And this faulty diet really threw a wrench into his season, and he's been recovering from it. And he's talked about this actually, that there has been a recovery from just losing this much weight too quickly, and it just didn't work out. Your golf swing changes a little bit. He just wasn't himself. So I think he's still getting out of that, and I want to fade him until we know a lot more and we see the more normal Brooks Koepka.
It's a funny thing you mentioned that because I used to, I played a lot of golf over the last decade, 12 years or so. And as a skinnier person, my golf swing was far different than as I was a bigger person. It's harder to get the club around.
True with everybody.
We got the big old John Daly swing now.
Yeah, I mean, all right. So
put all the weight into it.
So let's look at the mid-range guys. Like I said, 30-1 or greater. A couple of names I'm pretty sure I already know you guys are going to like. I'll start with a guy. Just let you talk about him, and then you can go on to your own personal ones. Guy who getting no love, the defending champ. Patty Reed?
He's had a rough stretch. I think that the main reason is because he has not played all that well, and what's really.
I know he's also not a favorite on the tour either. So
No.
Well,
when I
that's
say
true.
favorite, I mean a personal favorite, not a
No,
betting favorite.
that's certainly true, and that might play a little bit into the aspect that I don't think he's a favorite on the tour, and he's certainly not a favorite in regards to the public. So the odds might be skewed because of that. I will not deny that at all. That certainly probably has a play into this, but just the lack of consistent results. And the fact that he's had such a great short game, especially in and around the green, he's phenomenal around the green. That has been one of his Achilles' heels this year, especially, is that he's, I think, 80th in scrambling on the tour. So, and he's a top 10 scrambler, throughout pretty much his entire career. So, I think that's been the biggest issue, and the fact that again we have such a top-heavy field. That I think there's just a lot better options, and people have really gone away from them. So that's, to me, just results more than anything else.
Yeah, Patrick Reed, not for or against in this one. See a little value at him at 61, but I wouldn't still take it. I see other golfers that have much more potential value.
Well, playing that rough stretch, is he a fade on the matchups here?
Potentially on some, but not all of them, I would say.
Ooh, yours are in color.
I think the issue with the matchups is that he's matched up against not sort of the top-end players. He's matched up against a lot of middle-tier type of players. So when you put him in a middle-tier spot against guys
You're
like...
losing value.
Yeah, maybe, Siwoo Kim, Brandt Snedeker, names like that, sort of in that realm, he becomes sort of just another guy, and he's competitive right there. So, no, I haven't found...
As well as a previous master winner that knows the course pretty well. So,
yeah, I mean, exactly.
So maybe he's not on a fade train. Maybe against the guys he's matched up with who are new.
certain ones maybe you
Patty
want to take
Cantlay is
him.
another one as well who could be in for his... He's in his first Masters, correct me if I'm wrong. No?
No, I don't think so. I think it's at least his second. I'm pretty sure he played
second,
last
third,
year.
yeah.
I think.
Okay, well, I mean, he's a guy who, sits in that league.
Sure.
60-1. Kevin Kisner's another one, like you talked about. And Gary Woodland. So somehow he gets matched up against Gary Woodland. I know you're anti-Gary.
I remain anti-Gary Woodland. In this tournament, I also continue to remain anti-Gary. I think this is a bad fit for Gary Woodland as well. Not just the fact that I think he's sort of peaked, maybe even career-wise.
Do we have any Patrick Reed matchups? I'm going to take a look at that there, crack research stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking up Cantlay right now, and then
Well, don't worry about that. It's not that serious of a need for the stat. There's what's his face, Amen Corner or whatever, or the River.
Yeah.
Showing
Rays Creek.
it on Rays Creek, showing it on the TV. But yeah, he's going to fall into some of these spots. I mean, Charlie Hoffman is a little bit higher in odds, but he might fall into that spot too. And I know Token's a big Charlie Hoffman fan.
Reed and Stenson. Stenson's minus 120.
Where is Stenson on here?
I've got Kiz as well against him, 110 each.
So how do you feel about a matchup like that?
On either side, I'm not a fan of either one in this tournament. So,
But Henrik Stenson started this, a little early, a little better. Obviously, Patrick Reed started his odds a little better as well.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just kind of look at him. He's getting a lot of negative love. That sounds weird to say, but that's where I kind of see him at. And you're right. He's the defending champ. Anything can happen when the defending champ steps on, but you never know. So, all right. Obviously, we have to do it. Tiger. Anybody? One way or the other. Matchups. Futures. Token, I got a little
Maybe a top
personal
20, but
personal prop bet contest with you here
Okay.
on some Tiger future or some Tiger props.
okay.
So we'll do that a little bit later in the show here as we kind of start to wrap up here. Any thoughts on Tiger?
totally hands off. 100% hands off. In fact, I'm intentionally avoiding him in matchup bets as well.
everything.
Yeah, everything. I feel like it's very hit or miss. Him contending and being in the top 5 is not surprising.
Even his worst years, he was still contending though.
Oh, absolutely. That's why I wouldn't be surprised that he plays great. Or if he just sort of fades a bit on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and finishes in
T12,
30th or
yeah.
no, even like 30th though. I mean, is that shocking? Not really. I don't
To me,
know.
I
It's
think
just-
it would be, but
Breaking
maybe-
news update. Sandy Lyle leading part 3 contest. 400
Oh.
through 6.
Sandy.
Maybe by the time this airs, he might have won it.
Yeah, we got Fleetwood, Bubba, Brandon Grace, and Grillo all one back.
Who?
Emiliano Grillo.
Emiliano Grillo. Yeah.
All right, let's look at the long shots. Or
My favorite.
did we finish the?
We didn't really do the middle tier, but I mean, it doesn't.
Oh, he did. You didn't, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, we didn't do the middle tier. We talked about Patrick Reed. So my apologies. Rewind the tape.
Middle tier goes up to what number? What number? Do you like?
Let's call it 80.
Okay.
Up to 80. Okay.
I'll just jump right in quickly. Or
Good.
Token, are you ready?
Good.
Okay. All right, sir. I'll jump in. So middle tier for me, there are two guys that I've already gotten a wager on. Although one is actually 100 to 1. I don't know where we're at here, but he's listed at 80 at a lot of places. All these are names I've bet on recently here, and we're just going to stay strong with players that are playing well and that fit very well in this spot. And I think this is one of the best fits in the entire field, maybe besides Phil Mickelson in his prime, would be Hideki Matsuyama, who is 40 to 1 in most places, maybe 35 in some spots. But
Yeah, I've seen 40 to 35.
okay, so definitely 40 here. He's a pure machine in this spot. He's got 4 top 20s in a row in the 4 events that he's played here, and not only has he been in the top 20 every year, but he's been very consistent with his rounds. He has not fired over a 74 in any of these rounds, so I do like to see that. And the crazy stat, this is one of the craziest stats of, for the, dorks are us, like I am, is that he's always been such a great ball striker. It's always been the scrambling and the putting that have let down Hideki over the years. He is overall on the PGA Tour this year, second in scrambling. It is an unbelievable thing. In fact, 3 years ago, when he was pretty much at his peak and he started to win a couple of events, he was 87th at the end of the year in scrambling, and he won multiple events that year on tour. So gives you an idea of where Matsu's game is at and how it's his ball striking that needs to get back to its peak shape for him to start winning again. But again, he's right on the cusp here. 3 straight top 25s overall on the PGA Tour heading into this week. He's well rested. He's at a place where he plays great, and it just fits awesome. So I love him at 40 to 1. Tony Finau, we've seen around 35
On
or
2
so.
good legs.
Yeah, on 2 good legs
Probably.
this time.
Probably.
In his second appearance
Unless if he
here.
holes in one in the par 3 contest again.
Oh my God, you in the par 3 contest.
He loves it. But I think, Tony, there's a
Go sit in the corner a little bit.
possibility of having some value here. I do think it should be a little bit higher at 40 or 45, but a guy I just like in this tournament. And then Cameron Smith, I'm going to be on
I had a
again.
feeling you were on him again.
Yeah, he's just a guy.
100 to 1 on William Hill.
Right, that's what I said. He opened a lot of places at 80, or he at least was there.
75 to 80 range.
100, yeah, I have 100 at William Hill as well. I've already actually gotten that bet in.
Lock it in.
Love his aggression. I love how he keeps his foot on the gas, too. It's just an exact type of player that I want. Great around the greens, fantastic bunker player. Just a guy I want in a tournament like this.
Nice. During the for me for the mid range odds and all that, big fan of Louis Oosthuizen, Mr. Smashers himself. Definitely has the distance. Plays left-handed. Got that power fade. And able to shape
righty.
the ball on a draw sometimes too.
What did you say?
I said Louis a righty, but yes.
Did he say something?
He said
I thought he was a lefty.
Louis
Louis a
Oosthuizen?
righty, yeah.
I'm thinking of somebody else then.
Phil Mickelson?
Mike
Maybe.
Weir?
Mike Weir?
Probably Bubba.
Lefty Oosthuizen?
Yeah.
His brother? His brother Lefty
Oh,
Oosthuizen?
yeah. Oh yeah, Louis. Oh yeah, Louis.
You can't call him your favorite golfer if you don't even know which way he hits.
He hits well.
He hits well
He is a good ball striker. That is
from
true.
either
So
side. Yeah.
he can probably hit it lefty.
He's a
So
switch
good.
hitter.
Probably hit a better lefty than I can righty.
Oh, kid, he hold out on 2 for the Schmasters.
Yeah.
Come on, you can't forget this.
No, he's the Albie man. He's the Schmasters himself.
Yep.
But which side? Which side did he hold out swinging from? Go ahead. We interrupted
41 right now, and that's what I see him at most places right now. Looks like he opened at 60 to 1 at Superbook. So,
you.
also another one I liked was Finau. Top 10 last year, 35 roughly. I see a little value in that, but realistically it should be closer to 50. But still might sprinkle a little.
You like Charlie Hoffman, too. You already bet him.
Yes. I actually got him at 100 to 1 though.
Fair enough. Yeah, he's 80 to 1 here on the Superbook.
Actually, I looked at William Hill earlier today. He's 65 now. 65 to 1.
Has anybody jumped more than Alex Noren from 60 to 1 to 200 to 1? I mean, that's $140. I don't see anything else. Oh, I guess Aaron Wise went $200. But nothing. Nobody. No,
I've seen a lot of people jump down, just not too many jump up, especially like Norn has.
Yeah, that's nuts. Yeah, I mean, so another guy, you're not on Shoffley as a guy you like. Just not enough value there at 40-1.
I had a long conversation with my friend out in Colorado this morning about Shoffley and what we should do with him. And to me, he's one of those dudes that's in this clump of players that I like, that I think are good, like guys like Adam Scott, Sergio Garcia, Matt Kuchar. I like these players. I think they make sense, but nobody stands out to me, and Xander doesn't stand out. And one of the reasons he doesn't stand out is I think it's the course fit. It becomes the scrambling aspect. And Xander is a bomber, closest to the pin type of player. He's not only just has a great GIR, but he's actually, his proximity is extremely good. That's why he makes so many putts. It's because he's almost always closer than everybody else. And on this course, you can't count on doing that. And it's so difficult to not only hit greens, but to be close to them. And the scrambling part, I just don't think the fit works. So while I love Xander's mentality and how aggressive he is, I just don't like the fit overall.
All right, fair enough. That's a good assessment, because I wasn't sure how I felt about him either at this point. But
it's a tough one, though.
And at 40-1, I just don't feel like you're right. He's either going to win it, and it's okay, cool. But
that's kind of how it. Yeah,
or he's just not going to. He's just going to meddle around in the uncompetitive stuff.
Yeah, no, yeah, it wouldn't be shocking.
All right, long shot time, boys. I know you guys are both interested in this.
Yeah, I've got a few. As already mentioned, Hoffman.
Charles Schwartzel.
I also have another one, Siwoo
Bernard
Kim.
Longer over there?
Bernie.
Is that Bernie?
No, I think it's a younger guy. Some sort of younger dude.
I don't know. That looks like Bernard Longer.
He kind of does, but...
Anyways, go ahead.
Siwoo, I actually got at 150-1, dropped down to about 75-1, sometimes even 80-1 right now.
Yeah, the Bible's got him 80.
Yep. And of course, Schwartzel. I got him at 200-1 just this morning on William Hill, so...
And Horschel. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Horschel, too, yeah.
He already bet Horschel as a free bet on my William Hill account.
Schwartzel and Horschel.
Schwartzel.
Yep.
That sounds like a law firm. Schwartzel and Horschel. For the people.
What a name.
The 1-2 punch.
Still not my favorite name on tour. It's Kiradek Afe Barnrat.
That's a good name, too.
Or that Jazz Jana Bada Bada Bada. Remember that guy?
Wow.
What side of the ball does he shoot from?
Jazz? I don't know. I haven't seen him play before. I have no idea.
Apparently he's never seen Louis Oosthuizen play either. All right, your long shots.
Yeah, three really strong names here. And I know we've already just briefly touched on the whole Alex Noren debacle. With absolutely nothing to go on in the last month because he hasn't been playing any golf, and he hasn't really been utilizing his Twitter account as much as possible. I do think
put the house on it.
It is. It's a hard thing. It's a hard way to pass up a player of his quality at 200-1.
It's not easy. Let me show you how.
No,
Let me show you how to pass up on
I
him.
understand. I get all of it. It's just all the things that he does well when he is playing well, and Raleigh hasn't played well recently. His brand of golf just fits this course so well. It just, to me, it seems silly to not even take a small shot at it. But again, I'll leave that be.
So for puns, are you saying he's tailor-made for this course?
I do think yes, that's one of your better puns, even though puns are never good. That is yes, it's not too bad.
Punny.
So I'll throw out three names though that I'm definitely on, already bet, and I think this one. It's hard to say which one has the best value per se.
All these are pretty good value.
All these are great. Well, I do think that there are a couple players at 200 to 300-1 that are terrible value because they have, in my opinion, almost no chance. But probably Matthew Fitzpatrick, to me, has the best value of the entire tournament, in my opinion, especially at 175-1, which we can get him at William Hill.
Oh, wow.
I think is phenomenal. Again, fit for the course, beautiful. Not coming in with a lot of fanfare. I think that's why his odds are certainly bloated here. Been playing quite well in Europe. He's been out playing on the European circuit for the last month and a half or so. He had played in the U.S. For a while before that. I do like what's going on with Fitz. He's been playing well. His numbers are really good. He's hitting a lot of greens. Fantastic spot here. He's also had a pretty decent record. Hatong Lee at 200-1 on William Hill. Again, a guy that keeps his foot on the gas, that is aggressive, that has all the shots in the bag, and hopefully can play without fear and go after it. Trying to become the first Chinese player to win a major is a huge deal, and I realize there's a lot of pressure, and the eyes are on him, at least in the men's side.
What about Corey Connors coming off his victory to sneak into the Masters off the qualifying on Monday?
Corey, not a fan of. I just feel,
I think he might make the cut, but that's about it.
Oh, certainly, yeah. Certainly she should be able to make the cut, but yeah, not enough for me. Just a guy that, I think he's just kind of riding this big wave.
Kevin Na at 250-1 instead, or
if I had to be, yes. Another guy I discussed earlier with my friend Kevin Na, but yeah, I just don't. To me, there's not quite enough. And then the last guy, a 250-1 that you brought up, is Eddie Pepperell. Really high quality. I know we brought him up maybe briefly before. Really high quality European Tour player. Short little sawed off Brit who gets the ball around the course nicely and is a strong kind of bulldog type of competitor. Very similar to like the Kevin Kisner type of player, at least in the U.S. standards. Doesn't hit the ball that far, is really gritty, he's got a great short game, and doesn't seem to really fear the moment or fear anybody else. And I like Eddie's game right now and how well he's playing. So Eddie Pepperell at 250-1, I think there's some strong value there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like him in a few matchups.
Solid.
Fair enough. All right, prop bets. Tony Johnson, what are some props you're looking at or have already bet at this point leading up to the Masters here in about, as our recording, it's in about 21 hours, but as of when this is broadcast, it'll be in about less than 12.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many prop bets to choose from that I'll just go very quickly just with top 5, top 10, top 20 bets, just to keep it simple here. So
Funky.
Fading guys that I know the public loves right now, especially these top 5 bets, which I think there is tremendous value. In fact, I'm still trying to figure out, as we are discussing this on Wednesday, how much value there is. But I know there's a lot, and I just don't know how much. So McIlroy, not to top 5. We have minus 180 at the Westgate. And while I know he's 5 out of his last 6 tournaments, he has been in the top 5. And he has had 3 top 5s in this tournament in his history. It's still, even though he's played well here for the most part, that still wouldn't equate to enough. He's played here 10 times, so it just doesn't. The value is not here. It is really hard to get in the top 5 of a tournament when you have this many top end players. It's just not enough. The value it should be probably minus 300. I'm not really sure what it exactly should be. Again, still trying to figure it out. Love this minus 180. DJ on the other side, also no top 5, minus 210. Not as good a value in my opinion as McIlroy because I think they're very similar in the high qualityness here. But again, top 5 in this tournament. He has 1 top 5 his entire career at Augusta National. To me, there's tremendous even at minus 210. Moving on to the top 10. Spot here. Ricky Fowler, no top 10. This goes back to the Ricky Fowler missing the cut. I think he's coming in with too much fanfare. I just think we're just pushing back here on the public side of things, and we have a minus 180 Fowler, no top 10 at Westgate. So it's just a value play here. I expect him somewhere in the middle of the pack, actually, when all is said and done for Ricky Fowler. Then we have 2 top 20 bets. One is a no, one is a yes. So we'll continue on with Rory McIlroy. No top 20, plus 300, also at Westgate. 3-1 in a spot here where just one bad round can really get you in a spot of contention versus a spot just kind of playing randomly on Sunday in 25th, 30th place, and maybe you'll finish in the top 20, maybe you won't. I love coin flips when I'm getting 3-1. So Rory McIlroy at plus 300 when he doesn't at all necessarily have to be competing at the end. Love this one. And then my one lone yes out of all of these is Hideki Matsuyama, who we've talked about briefly before. He is 4 for 4 in top 20s in this tournament in his career. I don't see how that changes now. He's one of the best forms we've seen him coming into April. Minus 110 at William Hill here, minus 140 at Westgate now. So definitely if you're living out in the Las Vegas area, try to find it at William Hill. Yes, Hideki Matsuyama in the top 20, minus 110.
Right on. All right, Togan, what about your props you're looking at right now?
One for sure, Will there be a hole in one? And that is yes.
lead with that.
Minus
I'm not making that bet again.
minus 130 for the yes. If I can catch it on Sunday against you at 3-1, I might take it again.
You can catch these hands.
Jeez. It's going to be a shit show on Sunday, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Probably going to be a shit show on Saturday, but you guys aren't invited.
Okay.
I'm working anyhow on Saturday, so.
Yeah. Working the streets. It wasn't even a pun. Just deal with it. It's funny. He's a hooker.
I will say
Go.
lowest completed round shot by Tiger Woods, over or under 68.5. I would say under at minus 130. I would lay the juice and take that. And that's about it as of right now, besides some making a miscuts.
All right, fair enough. All right, so I actually want to do, since we don't have a lot of Tiger Woods going on, I actually want to do a Tiger Woods prop bet contest with you, Token.
Okay.
As you run away. All right, so what we're going to do, I have 9 different prop bets regarding Tiger Woods.
Okay.
At 3-1 odds, I will let you pick. But I get 3-1 odds if I win the contest. I will let you pick every single bet.
Okay. So whoever best out of 9?
Yeah, well, first to 5, I guess, however you want to put it.
3-1 odds for you.
You should probably talk in the microphone.
3-1 odds for you. Best of 9. Okay.
You don't have to write it down. It's on a recorded podcast.
I like writing stuff down.
All right, I'll let you pick. Well, I already know the one because it was your last prop bet. Lowest total Tiger or lowest score in any round for Tiger Woods is 68.5. You're taking the under in that one, right?
Yep.
You should probably talk on the microphone.
Yes, sir. I am taking the under.
All right, total bogeys or worse, 12.5.
I would take the over.
Ooh.
All right, first shot on hole 1 on Thursday in the fairway, or yes or no?
What a bet. Jeez.
Hole 1, he will make the fairway.
All right, first round score, over under 70.5.
Ooh, good number.
Yeah, that is an extremely good number. I am going to take the under. I think he finished with a 70.
You could get 2. You could get if he gets to shoot a 67, you could win 2 right there.
Yeah.
All right, does Tiger Woods birdie hole 1? Yes or no? On Thursday.
No birdie hole 1.
Saying no. Okay.
He'll eagle it.
I'll give you birdie or better.
No.
All right, any bogey free round?
No.
That was quick. He was ready for that one.
At the Masters, even in his prime, I'd probably take the no.
All right, will he be the 54-hole leader?
No.
Will he make the cut?
Yes, he'll make the cut.
Well, then that would answer your... Well, that doesn't necessarily. Will he withdraw at any point in the tournament?
I will say no.
Okay. I got 3-1 on my money.
For what, $5?
Sure, $5.
Okay.
He only needs to hit 5 of these?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's best of 9, so
Yeah.
basically it's a first one to 5. I mean, there's a couple of them that are pretty easy. It's the other ones I'm not worried about. I hope he goes right down the center. Or no, you said he was going to go in the fairway on one, so I hope he goes right down the center of the cart path. Hole 1.
Very possible.
All right, cool. Then we've got a little something there.
Yep.
All right, now it's time for a little tradition unlike any other. Well, it's probably like other people, but I'd like to consider it like any other. It's the Masters Draft. We each get 5 golfers. The combined total lowest score is the winner. There's a couple of caveats. 4 golfers can be anybody you want. 1 golfer has to be 100-1 or greater, and we are going to use the. What do you want to use? Superbook or William Hill or what? As the lines. I'll use a Superbook because it's easy to look at it right here.
Garbage.
What'd you say?
Is it perfect?
Oh, they said that's garbage. Also, if your player misses a cut, it's an automatic plus 16 to his score. Mm-hmm. So, without further
And
ado,
if you choose the winner, it's extra $5.
yes, it's a $20 bet. If you actually have the winner on your roster, it is an extra $5. Before the show, we did a random drawing, and it was,
We did?
well, I did. It was
Okay.
Token first, me second, you last.
Is this a snake
and
draft?
we can snake it.
Okay.
So, but Token's going to lose his first pick if he doesn't start talking to the goddamn microphone.
My first pick, I am going to take. Dustin Johnson.
Okay. I am going to take Justin Rose.
That's a good pick.
And Tony Johnson for 2.
I'll take McElroy. Although I hope he
He's
struggles.
all against McElroy.
Although I hope he struggles. Okay, let's go. Oh, that's all right. We're not. I'm using Superbook. Oh, we only need one.
You only need
the
one
only caveat
at
is 1 over
100.
100. Okay, I just want to make sure there were no
you
other
can take it
caveats.
right now if you want.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, you could take Alex Noren. You're all over it. Or maybe Vijay Singh.
Well, Aaron's anti Alex Noren, so maybe he'll come through this time.
Yeah, anybody I'm anti in the Masters is way good. So he probably will come through.
If he loves them, fade his ass.
That is true. That is true. Well, at least last year.
John Rahm.
Johnny Rami. All right. Fair enough. He's got Rom. I will take, for my pick,
Your nose.
I will pick my nose. And when I pull it out, I will find Fairway Jesus.
Fleetwood Mac.
Token for 2.
Bubba. And then Louis Oosthuizen.
All right, back to me. I will take Matsuyama.
Damn it. So I thought he would get back to me.
You thought wrong,
That
sir.
really hurts. I feel like you stole him because you knew I was going to take him.
Probably.
He stole Matsu.
He's psychotic.
It was a good steal.
Calm your tits and make a pick. 2 picks, actually.
Well, I don't really want to take this guy, but I mean, it's by the odds, I have no choice.
Justin Thomas.
Yeah, I mean, that I'm thinking, yeah,
Second pick.
it's got to be Justin Thomas.
Well, it's
yes.
a 3rd round pick, and yeah, I get it. You don't want Tiger
It's
Hoods?
not a horrible pick.
You don't want Tiger Hoods?
I'll take Fowler as well, even though I don't like him either in this thing. But it's just I got
Picking all the guys you hate. Yeah, great job.
If he got back to me, I was going to take him. So
All right, I am going to take Francisco Molinari.
not his brother.
Not his brother, Spaghetti
Eduardo.
Molinari. Linguini Molinari.
My last 2 picks. I am going to
You're
take.
going to talk into the microphone.
I am going to take
For the love of God.
Hoffman, and then Schwartzel.
All right.
Charlie Hoffman and Carl Schwartzel.
I am going to take, for my 100 to 1 guy. Well, he's not 100 to 1, so that would not be good. Fuck it. I'll take Noren.
Okay, I'll allow it.
Wow, weird.
Yeah, I know.
I'll allow it.
You've picked everybody you hate, too, so shut up. I was either going to be Noren or I was going to take Corey
I'm
Connors.
just trying to win the contest. I mean, this is not my exact type of thing that I like.
Normally
but
do, yeah.
Fitzpatrick.
Okay.
Matty Fitzpatrick. It's the gay porn.
Did you go to Harvard too?
Northwestern. My guy.
Anybody who's a Fitz something is usually the gay. I call him the gay porn guy. Anyways, that's going to wrap it up for us. It's Masters Week. We are excited. We will definitely be having some bets on the Vegas Squares podcast. Probably not from Tony Johnson because he's good like that. But at least I know Token will be risking it for the biscuit.
Already am, yeah.
Oh, don't throw your hands up in the air. Every week. I'm going to put something on Twitter.
Well, you did tweet one of my picks before, so I feel like I was part of.
I've
the
tweeted
reason it
one
happened.
pick for like 8 weeks.
It counts for something.
I pretty much have done the same.
Your batting average is small. Anyways, that's going to be it for us. Again, we want to thank the sponsors, 12 Ounce Sports Radio, VGK, or Vegas Puckline Apparel, ChaiPoker.com, and Eric on the Web Productions. For Tony Johnson, I am Aaron. We appreciate you listening. Hopefully, we will catch you next week celebrating our great success. Enjoy the podcast, enjoy the Masters, and we will catch you on the next podcast.